I just bought one of the best 3 bottle collections in my 26-year career of bottle dealing, and this is probably the very best one. This may be worth as much as $500, and it's basically mint condition. And this is the companion bottle, but this one is from Wilson and Goldsboro, and this one is in mint condition as well. That's probably a $450 bottle. And the back heel has Coca-Cola inscript, and it is basically mint condition. Then I got a Pepsi that's blown in a mold. It's in the book for $100, but I'm pretty sure it's more of a $200 bottle. The book is 20 years old now, so it certainly ought to be $200, and I haven't seen very many of these coming out of the ground or any collections lately. Maybe just one every 5 years or so. And then I got the Goldsboro Bottling Company. This is the stubbier one with the fatter writing on it. It does have a couple fish eyes, but they're kind of on the side, so it still displays good. And this is the skinnier, regular shaped bottle with smaller embossing. It's got a few bruises. They're not too big, and they're mostly on the back. So that's a pretty good one. Then I got the Punchinello. It's a picture bottle. It's got the 5 cents, and this is a company that started in 1907 or 08. There's a crack in the back side of the crown. Could have been cracked by the guy bringing it over, because he didn't really wrap them up or anything. He just had them all piled up in a box because he didn't know what he had. And then the Wayne Bottling Works from Goldsboro. It's blown in a mold just like all these others. And it is in mint condition. And here's a very fancy whiskey. Even though it's from Baltimore, it's just so unusual. It's like a back bar bottle that's never meant to be thrown away. But it's flat on this side for a paper label. So I'm pretty sure it is a one-time use. Here's a really early drippy top one with thousands of little bubbles in it. It's got to be from the 1870s or maybe even the 1860s. This is a big aqua one. I've only seen clear ones that are about 6 ounces. This has got to be a 32 ouncer. And it's blown in mold. It's got to be a $25 bottle, I'd say. And there's a Singer sewing machine oil. It's nothing special, but to a person who's into sewing collectibles, this is at least a $10 bottle. Then I bought a teal wine bottle that's from the 1890s. Just because of the color. Then this is an 1870s or early 80s Whiskey Fifth. It's got the 3-part mold on it and the word patented, so it's kind of different. It's got the gloppy top. Glass is dripping down the collar area. So that's a true applied top. And this just looks like an ordinary unembossed chemical bottle, but it's not. It says Capudine Medicine Company, Raleigh, North Carolina. I think those are fairly scarce. And then a Tivoli. It's a very common beer, but the fact that it's blown in a mold and it's clear, which means it'll turn purple. I just like beers that are able to turn purple, because I'm from the West and there's extremely few clear / purple beers out there. Of course, this is just from Virginia, but I haven't seen a lot of purple beers in my life. Then I bought this just because it's a honey amber and it has sort of Indian embossment on it. Then I got a Lysol, which is a pretty hard bottle to sell. But this is one of the very first ones made. It's blown in a mold. got to be about 1910 or 12. Then I got 3D patents from Goldsboro. They're nothing special, but since they're local and they were cheap, I picked them up. Then I got a Buffalo Rock. It's got perfect paint on it. I don't have one in my collection yet, so I'm keeping that one. There's a nice early Mission with perfect paint. No city listed. This is the Dream. I've seen these in Tucson, and now I've seen them from Dunn, North Carolina. It's probably pretty rare because of it being from Dunn. I've never seen one of these. And then the Carolina. It's sort of a picture bottle. And it is from Goldsboro. And I got a commemorative one of these. They made so many of these of the 75th anniversary of Coke. But where's all the 100th anniversary ones? There's none around. Then I got a Pabst beer just because it's a popular brand. I can get $5 or $6 for it. Then I bought this because of the unusual shape, and it's a beautiful honey amber. It's got embossing on both sides. Here's early amber ink. There's not too many in the brown color. And it's embossed. I have about 150 different inks in my collection, and I don't have this one yet, so I'll keep it. Then a Wake Drugstore, Raleigh, North Carolina. And then the Shelf Celery. Looks like a Broma Seltzer, but it's much more rare. Richmond, Virginia. These have gone up a lot in the last few years. Here's an early machine made. It's turning purple. It's got an interesting name. It's a nice thick one. Here's a blown in the mold extract from Knoxville, Tennessee. Then I bought this pint flask just because the way the shoulders look is a little bit different. And then a tiny Bromo seltzer just because it looks neat. Then a little Tabasco style bottle. I'm not really sure what this is. It's paneled. It may be considered art glass. Then I got this 12-ounce unembossed, but it's just a good looking pharmacy. Then I got the 12-ounce Aqua Pepsi. It's kind of scuffed up. This one's got an M on the bottom. Then I bought two White House lids. I can get $5 or $6 each for these. Then I bought this. I don't know what it is. It's kind of unusual. It's a machine-made screw top, but since I never saw one, I picked it up. I usually try and stay away from these milk glass jars, but this one's a pretty interesting one. It's a miniature cheese jar. And this one, being from the Penciler company, is kind of unusual. It's got to be at least 97 years old. I usually don't want to buy any champagnes either, but this one's certainly an unusual color. And the Buffalo Lithia Springs water is a very common bottle, but the embossing is very strong on this one, and it's a pretty clean example. And of course, an unembossed whiskey is a very common thing, but because of the rainbow stain on it, I could probably get about $6 for it. And I got a couple of Wayne Dairy bottles. I haven't seen this backing before. There's about 10 or 12 different ones of these. And here's the other one. And here's a very common embossed whiskey. It's probably old enough to turn purple, and since it's embossed, I can probably get at least $5. Here's a nice, clean, blown in the mold whiskey fifth that's definitely going to turn purple. And the Lydia E. Pinkham's Medicine Company was in business for about 100 years. This one's a pretty interesting color. And mason jars are getting kind of popular these days, so I picked that one up. And that's what they call the Triple L ball. They're pretty common, but should be able to get about $7 for that one. Then I bought a White House vinegar cruet. Pretty common, but this is just an unembossed bottle, but you can see a lot of striations and different coloration in the glass. It goes from honey amber to a nice reddish medium amber. It's got a couple small cracks in it, but I just thought that was pretty unusual. And that one's just a beautiful honey amber. It's pretty clean. It's blown in the mold. And here's a Mason's Improved. This one is an extremely early one. It's got the ground top on it. It's got to be 1890s. Very stained up though. It's very cloudy and hazy, but I picked it up because I don't get too many from the 1800s. Bought a couple of these common blue insulators. Citrate of magnesia, just because it's gonna turn purple. Semi-fancy half-pint flask that's blown in a mold. I bought 3 of these pint-sized whiskeys just because I'm gonna purple them up and sell them for $6 each. Then I bought a flower frog just to set marbles on and display them. Then that's an interesting chemical bottle. It's unembossed, but it's got a nice honey amber and a nice size. There's a Colombian fruit jar lid. It's a smaller size than most. Smaller than a standard mason jar lid anyway. And I bought a second White House lid. This one looks like it might be a rare one. That's an early logo design from the 1890s on there. It's perfect and clean. Then I bought this lid just because it was turning purple and it's got interesting designs on it. So I'll set that out for the summer and turn it purple. And just another unembossed chemical bottle. Well, that's what I bought this week for $200. I'm sure it's worth a lot more, probably as much as $1,000.